This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Driver and a passenger in fatal Clarendon crash out of hospital. A truck driver and a passenger who were injured in the Bustamante Highway crash that killed two people on Monday have been released from hospital. According to a news source at the Four Paths police station, both of them have provided statements on the crash involving the truck and a coaster bus, and neither of them has been detained. 54-year-old bus driver James Prenter Davis and his passenger Glenmore Blackashine Price died on the day of the crash. The men were reportedly traveling to Maypen when the collision occurred about 5 a.m. Price, who lived in Four Paths, Clarendon, operated a stall and was also a soup vendor. The police have appealed to eyewitnesses to provide any details that may help with their ongoing investigation. 600 teachers not returning to classes in September. 600 teachers when the new school term begins on September 5, according to data from the Jamaica Teachers Association. The data was gleaned by the JTA from 140 schools across the island 1 week before its ongoing 58th annual conference at the Hilton Rose Hall Resort and Spa in Montego Bay, St. James. Speaking with the News Tuesday, Sandra Harrison, the newly installed president of the JTA, clarified aspects of the survey data which had previously been revealed in her inaugural presidential address on Monday night. According to the survey, 13% of the teachers who will not return in September are retired, 43% are resigning, and 44% are on approved leave. As an association, we have access to our members, so we would have created our form, dispersed the same form, and the principals would have responded based on the data in their schools that they know those teachers who have resigned, those who are retiring, and those who are on study leave. The instrument was sent out last week to our principals, and the principals responded from across the region, and that is the data that came in, and we presented same, said Harrison. The Ministry of Education has been downplaying the issue of teacher migration, even while revealing recently that 167 teachers have resigned from the profession since July this year. The ministry had previously projected that 1,250 teachers could leave the profession this year, while acknowledging that about 5% of Jamaica's 25,000 teachers leave the nation's education sector annually. Fears of child trauma as mom's throat slashed by killer. An 8-year-old child who ran frantically from his home and alerted relatives that his mother was killed on Monday reportedly recounted how the suspect lifted him up after the attack and glared at him before leaving. The child, the youngest of two for the deceased woman, was not harmed. The 35-year-old attacker turned himself into the police in the company of his supervisor a few hours after the tragedy, which has stunned the community of Dumfries Vale in rural St. Catherine. Relatives are hoping that the child receives counseling after being the sole witness to the gruesome incident, which claimed the life of his mother, 24-year-old Alicia Lisa Patience, about 7 p.m. on Monday. Marlene Jarrett, a cousin of the deceased, told the news that she is glad the child was not hurt, but is concerned for him and his grandmother, who has since been hospitalized following the disturbing news. The little boy burst speed and come out of the house and say him kill mommy. So me say, I lie you a tell, and him say, yes, him kill mommy, Jarrett said. Him say when him kill him mother, him lift him up so, and put him back down, she added. Fearfully, Jarrett entered the house with caution and was shocked to see Patience lying on the bed. Me freeze, the whole her neck full of blood, she said. The man in custody is a common-law widower of the deceased. Residents said there were telltale signs of relationship that crumbled and became increasingly toxic, with reports of quarrels, destruction of a shop, and the severing of parents' heads. The two reportedly maintained communication despite their disputes. The relatives showed journalists the blood-soaked bed and the sheet they have since thrown outside. Patience was an occasional hairstylist. The suspect reportedly worked as a cane cutter at a nearby farm. Residents said Patience was often warned to be careful and that her mother was critical of the relationship, which had been ongoing for about 3 years. If you see him look like him can't mash ants. If you see him, it coming like him all dumb, a resident said. A senior policeman with knowledge of the investigation told the news that the suspect is on suicide watch after uttering that he is praying he will see the deceased again. They had a dispute, and let us put it this way, a lack of attention and the fact that she might be looking in another direction. He is not supported by the family, the cops said. During the dispute, a knife came into play and she was wounded in the neck area, the senior crime investigator said. Accused contract killers charged by Hanover police. Two men who were held in a foiled contract murder at Hughes Enterprise Supermarket in Hopewell, Hanover last Monday have been charged with double murder and illegal possession of two illegal firearms arising from an incident on Emancipation Day in Sandy Bay. The men, both in their teens, are accused of the contract killing of common-law couple 35-year-old Vanisha Stacy Oregio, a shopkeeper, and the 30-year-old Miguel Elder Wilmot of Pumpkin Bottom in Sandy Bay at their home on August 1. The accused men, 18-year-old Daniel Knott of Belle Isle Road in Grange Hill, Westmoreland, and the 19-year-old Dondre Blacks Wilson of Moranta Bay, St. Thomas, were cornered and held inside the Hughes supermarket, where they were allegedly observed behaving suspiciously by the proprietor. According to police report, on the day of the murders, Knott and Wilson went to the home of the common-law couple, where they identified themselves as policemen to gain entry. The victims complied with their request to open the door and were shot dead. On Monday, August 15, Knott and Wilson traveled by motorcycle to the supermarket in Hopewell, where police intelligence suggests they were contracted to commit a murder. About 8 p.m., the supermarket operator became suspicious of the men who had been lurking around the establishment for several hours. After carefully combing through footage from his surveillance cameras, the proprietor realized that both Knott and Wilson were carrying firearms on their person. The Sandy Bay police were alerted and a dragnet set up. 2 semi-automatic pistols and approximately 62 rounds of ammunition were seized. The men were arrested and the motorcycle on which they traveled to the location confiscated. The accused are also the prime suspects in the murder of 39-year-old Omar MacDonald, who was killed at his home in Barbican, Hanover, also on Emancipation Day. JPS rate increase sparks debate. The National Consumers League has expressed alarm at the decision of the Office of Utilities Regulation to grant the Jamaica Public Service rate increase, which will see residential customers paying 0.7% increase in their electricity bill. Commercial customers will pay 0.4% to 1.2% more. The increases took effect on Monday. Trevor Samuels, a former president of the National Consumers League, told the news that he was surprised that the OUR approved the increase in the face of high inflation affecting customers. The OUR said the 2022 JPS annual review is in keeping with the provisions of the Electricity License 2016, which allows for the realignment of the company's revenue targets each year against inflation and exchange rate movements. That explanation has not found favor with the consumer advocate, who argued that it was only recently that they got an increase.
Well, this one, to be honest with you, I'm surprised about this one. And because it's not very long ago that they got an increase. And, an increase even at the small rate of what they call small is going to have an effect upon, the household. And the commercial people who got a slightly bigger increase is going to reflect itself right through all the goods to the consumer. Naturally, they're not going to the merchants are not going to absorb the extra cost that is going to be involved. So therefore, it is really surprising. On top of all that has been happening, I did not really see this one coming at this point in time. So, consumers going to be affected seriously by this one.
In contrast, financial analyst Dennis Chong, while conceding that the hike will adversely affect consumers, supported the view that the JPS was due the tariff increase.
It's not a big increase, right? But it definitely is going to affect people. But the truth is that the price of everything going up. We've had some serious inflation. The price of oil, and you'd have seen how the fuel prices have been moving. JPS has not been moving at the same rate, but they have been absorbing the cost of the increases. So no one can really complain about it, I think. I mean, it's something that is the last thing you want to hear because you have to use electricity. But, you know, the truth is that I think it's at 2% they say come out to, right? That is something you can easily conserve. You know, that's the way that we need to go. We can't keep depending on this oil import because that's killing us as a country. So we have to move towards renewables, you know. But I don't think you can argue with the OUR about the increase because everything has been increasing all around the place. And, you know, that's the effect of high inflation environments.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.